Are you going to be ready to wow your friends and yourself? Today I'm going to show you how to make a floating center fun fold card. And that's really not easy for me to say. I have to think about it every single time. I want to know though, who in the world gave this card permission to look this fantastic and yet be this easy to make? You're gonna love it. I can't wait to share it with you, but I want to be sure first to say hi. I'm really glad that you're here. Thank you for coming. If this is your first time to the channel, then welcome. And if you've been to the channel before, then welcome back. My name is Julia. I'm with Julia Sue's Stamping. If you are here for the premiere, then please hop over to the live chat. I'm there. I would love to communicate with you, to answer your questions, to see what's going on, see what you're creating these days. It would be a lot of fun to kind of catch up with you and see what you're making. And if you are watching the replay, then leave me a comment. I would love to respond to you and get a conversation going. All right, so I respond just as quickly as I can, and I really look forward to hearing from you. Well, I really think that we should go ahead and get started, because if you're short on time, but you want to make a big impact, then this card's for you. Let's get crafting. Okay, take a look at this. This is a floating center fun fold card. And while it looks like a showstopper, it is surprisingly quick and easy. So today we're going to make this version that features an adorable little bucket of popcorn from the Poppin By stamp set, which I have right here. And I used the coordinating dies with it as well. We've got some crumb cake cardstock, some cherry cobbler, a little bit of designer series paper from Nessa Winter, a little bit of basic white, using the dotted circles embossing folder, and the inks Memento, Tuxedo Black, Cherry Cobbler, and Daffodil Delight. I'll move all these things out of the way over here and we'll get started on the card. I've got a piece of the crumb cake cardstock that has been cut to be 8.5 by 5.5. I scored it at 2 1/8 inch, and then I scored it at 4 1/4 so that it is card size. I'm going to use the bone folder and burnish those score lines to make it so it is the fun fold card here, and that is it. All right, that gives us a classic fold to build on. So we went ahead and we gave those a nice burnish, and then I have the piece of designer series paper from the Nessa Winter. Now you wouldn't think that this really would go along with this stamp set and everything, but it's perfect. And that's one of the things I wanted to help show you, is how easy it is to use different designer series papers with this design. It's so easy to use any stamp set that you have handy, any of the designer series paper or embossing folders that you have that you'd like to use, and have some fun with it. So I'm adhering this piece that has been cut right into the center, and it gives a beautiful texture and soft background for the floating mechanism. So speaking of floating, I have the floating mechanism here. All right, it is a panel of 2 inches by 4 1/4 inches. I scored it at 1/2 inch and at 1 inch, and then at 1.5 inches. So going to go ahead and burnish those nicely so it's really loose, and the fibers are all broken down, and it's going to create a little box shape when we're done. So you can see how it would be the little box shape right here. I'll put some adhesive, a nice strong adhesive You can use glue if you want, but glue is not going to dry as quickly for this project. So I tend to use either tear and tape or the seal so that it dries. And I put it right onto the seam of the card here where it folds. And then I'm going to put some adhesive on the second part here. There we go. So tear and tape is best for this, or the seal. And then I just fold it over, and now you can see we have that little box in there. That is the floating mechanism. I'm also going to kind of play with it for a moment though, because we want to make sure the card can open all the way. So I go ahead and get it open and burnish it again, and then I close it and burnish it some more. So this card is really broken down with the fibers, so it works well. That way it will open well for anyone who gets this card from you, and play around with it for a moment to make sure it's working, and there we go. Excellent. Okay. It's time to get a little extra texture on the outside. So I have a piece of the crumb cake that I have cut to be like 2 inches and 5 3/8, I think. I have all the dimensions, all the directions, the measurements on my blog. So please be sure you check it out. And that blog post the link is listed down in the description for you. I ran this through the dotted circles embossing folder and came up with this. I think that it is just screaming popcorn in a subtle way. So that's why I decided to use this one. I'm going to put the adhesive here on the outside on this panel that's going to be on the front of the card, and then I'm going to lay the embossed panel right on top. So it is all set to go. Excellent. All right, now for the sentiment on the center pop-up art panel. I'm going to be stamping from the Poppin By stamp set, the No One's Butter Than You stamp with the Memento Tuxedo Black. So this is what's going to go into the center of the card. And I just go ahead and put the sentiment right in the center. And then I have a little piece of popcorn here that I'm going to stamp in the Daffodil Delight down here in the corner for a little bit of fun. And then the word pop right by it. How cute is this? All right. That is a little bit of extra fun. And now I'm going to mat it onto a piece of cherry cobbler. So I have the cherry cobbler right here, bringing it in and matting this center floating piece perfectly on there. So that works. Now, to place it onto the floating piece, we're going to go ahead and a little bit of adhesive on the front part of our floating mechanism. So I put the adhesive on that square that is up. Then I'm going to place the floating piece on top and close the card on it. And now it floats. See how that works? How easy is this? All right, now we're on the home stretch. Our front panel is where the personality really shows up, and it's going to shine here. I'm going to stamp the popping in to say hello sentiment onto the top of this basic white panel. Oh yeah, that's so cute. And I think it might be a little bit crooked. What do you think? Good thing the paper is two-sided. Let's try it again. And if this side's better, then we'll use it. Well, I think they're about equal. Okay, well, we're going to go with this one because it's a little bit better. Okay, I've got some pieces here of scrap that I've got with the basic white and a little bit of basic black here. And with the basic white, I'm going to stamp the pieces of popcorn onto the scrap. And then I've got another scrap piece where I'm going to stamp the bucket of popcorn in yellow. And then I also am going to just clean that off using the chamois really quickly. I'm going to stamp the little guy in the bucket guy, with some cherry cobbler as well. Using my cut and emboss machine, I'm not going to use this piece of scrap. I take the die cuts and I'm going to put them on top of the pieces of the popcorn that I'm going to die cut. I usually use a bit of Post-it note tape to help me out with them, and then I'm going to run the popcorn bucket and the popcorn through the die cut machine, both popcorns, buckets, and everything. And to help save time, I already have them done here. So I've got the cherry cobbler and the Daffodil Delight little popcorn buckets, as well as 2 pieces of popcorn that have been die cut. And with the black piece here, I die cut the glasses and the little tiny shoes for this adorable little guy, and I am just convinced these are the cutest things ever. So got the little glasses here and little itty bitty baby shoes. Trying to pick them up, and I can't seem to pick them up. They're so cute. All right, so here are the itty bitty tiny little baby shoes that will go on our little guy. And I want to make the popcorn be popcorn color, not red. So that is why I have the yellow. And what happens here is a pair of snips are used to cut right along the top of the popcorn bucket, and then it will be adhered. So I've done that here. I've got the little popcorn bucket where I snipped off the popcorn. Then all I'm going to do is adhere the popcorn bucket on top of the Daffodil Delight one. So putting a little bit of adhesive, you can use the liquid glue if you like, or whatever adhesive is your favorite. And now that's on there real well. I'm going to go ahead and pop this up with a dimensional or 2, putting it onto the art piece. I've got the little guy right here, and then I'm going to stamp this kernel of corn right underneath the Poppin In to say hello. Oh, yeah, that worked out just fine. And then I'm going to adhere the glasses and the shoes to our little popcorn bucket. So I put a little dab of glue in the middle on the bridge of the glasses. So they are on the little guy. And now for the shoes. I'm going to put a dot of adhesive on a foot and on the other foot. And now for the little tiny shoes. There's one. And then the other itty bitty adorable little shoe. I think these are so cute. All right, there. How you like little guy? Isn't he adorable? Okay, he is the cutest bucket of corn that I have ever seen. Next, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this bit of popcorn stamped on right there, lifting it up then, the one that was die cut with a dimensional, and put the dimensional off there. Okay, and then this one I'm going to put some liquid adhesive on the side. And now I'm going to put it right around here so it's kind of off of the art piece a little bit. Okay, I think that this little pop word would be so perfect here. So there's the art piece all ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and close up the inks then and set aside the stamps. So I'm going to adhere a panel of crumb cake. I'm going to adhere a panel of crumb cake on top of some cherry cobbler. Then I'll put some adhesive on it because then that is what I'm going to put this art piece on. Right there. Perfect. Okay. Now I would like to place this right here, and I want to use something really strong. So I'm going to use tear and tape on the side. I'm taking a note of where I want the tear and tape to go over here. I'm going to place the tear and tape on, just a couple of pieces. Right there will work really well. Okay, now it's going to have a nice firm hold. I can eyeball trying to get it into the center of the mat over here. And just like that, our floating center fun fold card is all done. Isn't it a total blast? I made this card in a few other styles too, so let me share them with you. This card was created using the Storybook Garden Patch for the stamp set of the art piece, and I used the paper tags for the word of the for the sentiment of Just For You. And I had so much fun doing the coordinating dies with it, and I embossed a piece of designer series paper. Instead of just embossing this front, I used designer series paper and embossed that. So that is an absolutely gorgeous card. Like I said, all the supplies are listed on the blog, so please be sure to check it out. Another one of the cards I made with this was using the paper tags. I've got the sentiment from the Round We Go stamp set because I thought this happy birthday was perfect with the way that the cursive was here on that It's a Wonderful Day to Celebrate You. I've got the Regal's Distressed Designer Series paper, used the mini corrugated here on the embossing folder over here, and a little bit of gold, which the camera usually does not like very well, so I'm not sure how that's doing, but this stamp set was just fantastic, and I used the It's a Wonderful Day to Celebrate You with the coordinating dies, so that was easy. Another card I created with this fold was making it into a landscape with the Forever Plaid embossing folder on some blueberry bushel. This stamp set is absolutely fantastic. I have a friend who's going through an issue right now, and I thought I wanted him to know that he's not alone, so the Hugs and Healing stamp set was absolutely perfect. And he is an animal lover, so I just did some paper piecing with this designer series paper that I happen to have on my desk, and from a project I did last week, and some little paw prints up the side. Again, it's a floating fold card. They're probably not going to, keep it like that because it's a landscape, but it's still a really awesome card. I love this card. It is so fun. And it's easy to write in it because we made sure it would be flat, right? So it's easy to give, and it is easy to mail. And I normally do not put any extra embellishments on because I think it's kind of fancy enough with all these layers and the embossing. However, for this card right here, using the Thankful Garden and the Lovely Garden Designer Series paper in a Highland Heather, I think it's called. And then I got to use the masks with this, with the Thankful Garden. So here's that stamp set, and it's just beautiful. This was also on my desk from a project. I had a whole bunch of little tags, so I got to use this. I did use some embellishments on this one, some little dots. So beautiful card, and inside I had no idea that this stamp was like that. I didn't realize it until I used it, and I was like, hey, it's the same. So how fun is this? And look how different these all are, with different stamp sets, different papers, but it's all the exact same layout, right? How versatile is this? I love how easy it is to use this fold and to create things that look completely different. So if you already have a demonstrator, that's absolutely fantastic. But if you don't, and you're looking for someone to be in your crafty corner and you'd like to use me, I would be honored. If you're inspired, I'd really love for you to give this fold a try, and definitely tag me so I can see your take on it. Remember, you'll find all the measurement supplies on my blog list, my blog link, and that is down in the description below. So please check it out. Okay, that's it. That's all there is to this card. How cool is it? And you can use all sorts of different papers for this card. You can use lots of different stamp sets. It's extremely versatile, and yet it looks so super cool. I mean, if you can fold laundry, then you can fold this card. And this card is way more fun than any kind of laundry will ever be. So I really look forward to seeing the versions that you create. Please be sure to tag me because I want to see it. I want to hang out with you. I want to be your creative cheerleader. So let's do some sharing, all right? Please give the video a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Follow me on social media. All these things make a huge difference in my small, very small business. I appreciate your support more than I could ever tell you. And I appreciate your time. Thanks for being here. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day and that you have a chance to get inky. Bye.